everyone. Welcome to the November 12th, 2025 Shellfish Committee meeting. Before we get started, notice of recording. Please note that tonight's meeting is recorded and broadcast on the Town of Barnstable's Government Access Channel and in accordance with MGL Chapter 30A, Section 20. I must inquire whether anyone is taping this meeting, and if so, please make their presence known. Alright. First thing we'll do is approve the meeting minutes from October 8th. Yes.
I think I was here, but my name's not here,
Okay,
so I want credit.
so we'll add that to it. So any other issues with the minutes? So we'll add that, and then,
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes after the name is added.
Second.
alright, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Alright, that's gonna be fixed. Just a couple comments on my end. The other day, me and Jake went to the meeting, the planning board meeting regarding the whole trailer ordeal. And it's kind of become a big home occupation ordeal. So pretty much, they kind of gave out the wording, and it's like there's a short list of regulations that you have to follow for the occupation or home occupation application, but they're trying to make it a long list. Like as far as like storage in your yard, parking on the lawn or on the street. What else was there? You know, obviously the trailer issue. They want to add a business license, so it would be a charge annually to have your business or register your business. You know, we were at the meeting until 10:30 at night, and we had only gotten through a quarter of it. Like, that's how much stuff they're adding to it. So, if you have a business that you're operating at a home, I do suggest, you know, you pay attention to this, because it is quite, it's gonna change quite a bit. If, you know, everything were to go through. But the planning board is like taking their time with everything. They're going, like, they're being realistic. Like the building commissioner was there, they're questioning everything. So, they're doing the due process that the topic needs. Added on to that, I did get word, the building commissioner came up after I told them my concerns as far as like, you know, we run the fishing business, like guys have multiple boats, guys have gear, you know, and we all operate, most of us operate out of our homes. And as far as aquaculture goes, he said that we are exempt from all zoning regulations, which is good. In Chapter 48, Section 3, through the state, you know, that's under farming and all that. I'm not sure if it's adopted by the town or if all towns have to abide by that or what, but there's no writing of that within the town that I could find, so I just wanna contact the building commissioner, get that on a document, just for our protection. And then also I was like, you know, what about the wild guys, you know? Town issued licenses, like what about them? And obviously they're not listed under 40A, so maybe that's something to potentially discuss. Because apparently I am going to speak in front of town council on the 4th now. Just kind of because I mean, regardless of being part of this exempt portion, it's like I represent a lot more than just that now. And also, like, you know, I grew up in the farming industry. I also dabble in other things, like the building commissioner said it when he was explaining. He's like, there's 3,500 businesses in the town of Barnstable that are registered to the Commonwealth, but only 600 are registered in the town. So I'm like, that's 2,900 businesses that are gonna be affected by whatever they come up with. So they need to be smart about it. But if anyone, has any input, feel free to reach out to me. Like I said, I'm gonna go see them the 4th. I'll start thinking about that, so any extra information would help.
Have they been clear as to why they feel the need to make these changes?
So that was one of the big questions, is how did it all get started? And I might mix my wording up with this, but pretty much they made a group, the town or the town manager or building commissioner made a group to kind of go around town, make observations regarding, I wanna say just general zoning. But pretty much that group came back with, there's too many businesses in residential areas. Or just between traffic and they observe that, just there are a lot of businesses around town in residential areas. And it's not necessarily from complaint from neighbors, at the moment, the commissioner is complaint based. They have one enforcer. They're not gonna check everyone unless there's a complaint. So it kind of stemmed from that, giving the town council a report, so the town council's let's go through the home occupation, and pretty much they just wanna add 8 pages to it. I mean, it's substantially how much you can keep it, and there were people from the public, guys I resurfaced my driveway with 70 tons of stone. You're gonna tell me I can't do that because I don't work quick enough? And they're we can judge who's doing a business and who isn't, and so it's a little out of control. And the planning board's gonna be talking about it for.
Are they differentiating between businesses where you have customers coming to your home
Yeah,
versus a business
but
where?
also it's
It's just if you base your business out of your home, if you
Just in
leave for the
general.
day, you bring your equipment home, and storing your equipment, it's not actually about, it would affect people that aren't having increased traffic to their property.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
And it's no different than saying, FedEx goes to our street 8 times a day, that type of deal. It's so did they actually observe and they're talking about businesses in Hyannisport, Marston's Mills, or wherever. I think it's just, and that's my concern, it's just a general assumption that, maybe there's a couple bad apples around town, but that's gonna affect 2,900 businesses. That's a lot. I mean, you're talking about 2,900 businesses for people who are here year round, and really kind of make the community run, It's you go out in the Midwest, they're farm country, what is the Cape? I mean, I wouldn't say it's definitely toned down as far as fishing industry, but would you say this is small business town, and I think that's huge for the Cape, so I'm not there's still a lot more details that I need to find out, but it's definitely stemmed a lot more than just the length of a trailer now. It's, I'm not exaggerating, it's pretty. Chris?
Just for that people are aware, there have been a lot of complaints in some areas, especially where there are small lots, 1/4 acre lots, where every bit of lawn has got a commercial vehicle. They start up and run them at 7 in the morning and the lights go on, or there's been impacts to residential areas. So they're trying to sort that out and try to.
And I mean, there's 2 sides to every story. It's I'm not saying that, I obviously have a side that I am on with it, but it's until they find a happy medium it's a long road to get to that point, and I'm glad we don't have to do it, cause and I'm sure a lot of people are gonna start showing up as far as being on the other side of things, and it's all we got a big town with, a lot of people in it now, but that's why we have committees, that's why we have boards, people can, say what they need to.
One quick thing was, and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I guess the process now is like they continued it because we only got through a certain part of it. It's so long that at the meeting that we didn't even get to go over all the regulations yet. I think we only did like 2 out of 6 pages or something.
Of one regulation.
And
And it was two regulate, like
we hardly
two
got
main
through it, so
regulations.
I would suggest also, that you can still write letters to the planning board now. And then they're gonna have their decision, and then it's gonna go to the town council, and then that's when everyone really has to write a letter or show up to town council,
Yeah,
Is that
so
the correct process?
the process is like, town council passes this to the planning board, figures out a plan, hears from everybody, and they send it back to the town council with what they recommend or don't. And then from that point, the town council would vote on it.
The planning board's supposed to work out the recommendations.
Yeah.
And they purposely stopped the meeting, they are going through that document so they could allow time for public
Yeah.
comment. So
And they're really doing a good job with like each change, like going through it. I mean, all the members were discussing it, and then, when it came time for public comment, like they heard everyone out. So it's one of those things where like you gotta show up in order for anything to happen. It's all in who actually goes. So if no one shows up, it's just gonna, whatever the board thinks, that's what's gonna go. So I highly recommend going and putting.
But
your 2 cents.
aquaculture is exempt.
Or write a letter.
Or write a letter. And yes, aquaculture is exempt. So Yeah.
Did they define aquaculture?
well, I want it's under state regs. I just wanna make sure it's under town. Because when I personally looked, and I personally, wanna register as a farm. I've been looking for land in town for 5 years now. And at the time, when I looked, I was like, there's nothing in town, and I went to the town hall, tried to ask questions, no one really knew. They gave me a land-based answer where you needed 5 acres, farmed it for 2 years, but aquaculture's different, so. I'll get details on that once I get solid proof of that.
And as far as the commercial fishermen, what's
Yeah.
the process to try to get something
So
for that? Is there a process?
I think just it'd be if there isn't something written in the town for aquaculture, I think it's good chance we could go to the town council and be like, hey, I would like this written, under town regs with the addition of,
Harvesters.
yeah, so I think, over the next couple months, if whatever I find out from the town, if we wanna go for that, maybe we add that to topics of discussion. Just an idea, so, and that's kind of where that's at right now, so it's a long road for that one. But yeah, I suggest writing a letter or going. And then also, I will not be at the December meeting, so Bill, be ready. Yeah, I'm having my second child, so I just wanna clear that up. Who knows when it's coming, we'll see, but she's getting close. Alright, and yeah, let's move to the natural resources report.
Okay. For those of you that don't know, I'm Liz Lewis, I'm the shellfish biologist, I'm taking over for Amy today. So to start off, in case you guys haven't seen our shellfish numbers for a while, there we go. So we won't analyze anything now. Here are the numbers for this year. So compared to last year, we're on par pretty much with permits sold as last year. A little bit different, it fluctuates every year. What I think is important to note is that it hasn't changed drastically even with that price increase. So that's really nice to see as well, that people are still coming out. And there's your total dollar value there. So yeah, we have quite a few shellfishers out there, which is awesome. Over 3,000. Cool. We saw a lot of them this weekend, and we'll get to that. All right, so there's your numbers for that. I want to go over some maps. So shellfish growing area maps. Let's start with the south side. Why not? All right, so a lot of things. Amy went over a lot of these as well. We'll reiterate. For November 1st, we have a lot of changes November 1st. So North Bay did come up clean, thankfully. We did fail the first test. That was after we had a lot of rain. So that was kind of expected. But now it is open, so you can see, ooh, that's pretty. A lot of people are going to Bay Street, planted a lot of quahogs there. And what else? Let's see, Pirates Cove opened, that part of the St. Pewitt River opened up as well. So your closure is at the mouth of the Mills River, just so everyone's aware. Okay, so there's that one. Let's see. We won't look up at the close-ups of those. So Hyannis, let's take a look at this so we can see. We do have Calmus Beach close to the harvest of scallops. We did find a lot of seed there, and that's the main reason is that when we did a survey, we didn't find many legal ones at all. So we thought, let's just give it a rest. Let's go another year. Hopefully next year, all those small ones can come to fruition. And then we have openings in here. North Bay Papaneset. There you go. That part of Shoestring Bay, open. That got clean water quality, which is great. We always worry about that area a little bit. Okay, and then, so looking forward to December, what we hope is going to open. So we have the Centerville River. Here we go. We're gonna have these closure points. So this is all pending water quality. We should be getting that data back pretty soon to be able to open up East Bay, which will be great for the contaminated relays that we planted in there this year. And just a close-up of East Bay there. There you go. Remember these little closures here. Those are pretty important. There will be a lot of signage in there. Okay, and now looking at the north side, which everyone seems to get excited about. Mill Creek, all clean, that's ready to go. And Barnstable Harbor, let's look at that.
These are all things that are open, or is this gonna open later?
This is currently open. So the Centerville River and East Bay are the ones that we're waiting for.
Yeah,
That's
gotcha.
gonna be,
Okay.
December 1st. So the big opening for Barnstable Harbor, at least for the recreational shellfishery, was the Scudder Lane recreational area here. That's the big opening. And you'll notice different from last year, that whole northern section is remaining open. Well, it might be the second year that is now. And then these back marshes are still closed with some buoys marking that area there. Okay, any questions on maps? Yes.
Just so we're clear, you're speaking kind of like East Bay is one thing and Centerville River is one thing. Is there a chance Centerville River is going to open up with a water?
No.
Oh, okay, all right.
We just designated
Yeah,
two
okay.
separate maps.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just making sure.
I wish. We're gonna keep doing water quality to see if we ever can. The way that it is now is what is allowing us to at least do relays out of it.
Yeah.
So, okay, so those are our maps. Excellent. And now are we ready for the propagation report? Yep, all right.
And if you guys have questions, ask as we go, there's gonna be a bunch of points and that way we stay on.
Yeah, and copies for everyone. I think I made 10 or 11, so hopefully at least the committee can get it. And of course I can provide copies, anyone that needs them at any point. So just to start off, we had a pretty successful year. the team worked really well together and we had grand aspirations. Some of the staff members, in fact, we were trying to always outdig ourselves, which makes for a pretty fruitful season. So, to begin, we'll start beginning of the year. So in the spring, we started with the contaminated relays. Those are out of the Centerville River. 271.5 bushels were dug out of the Centerville River, planted at spots at East Bay, which were the areas that were suggested by the people that were digging. Those are still marked in East Bay. We do need a buffer there, and so it's marked. You guys can see where everything's planted. And then when East Bay opens, I will be lifting those signs because no longer be contaminated. So, they're sitting in there decorating East Bay. We had 8 participants this year. We paid out $10,860. So we were right around the budget, the $10,000 budget I was going for. All right, so for harvest, I have some numbers. You can see 2025, we dug 547 bushels of quahogs. And we've been slowly increasing those numbers over the years. The team worked really hard on that. We also had a lot of volunteers help with that. So to recreational only areas, that means areas like Handy Point that are designated as a recreational area. 200 and Bread Street, 212.5 bushels were moved there. And then bushels moved everywhere else. So everywhere outside of a recreational only area that's open to everyone, 334.5 bushels. The important thing to note about this is because we're planting quahogs so densely now, because we're growing so many more, a lot of these bushels aren't necessarily legal size quahogs in there. A lot of it is seed. It can be pretty small seed that we need to move around. And so some of those areas where it's been moved to all, that might be an area that's not picked over as much. So for instance, Bluff Point, that's an area where we move a lot of mixed stock because people don't frequent it as much. I know that it's good growing grounds, so we can put it there and those animals will grow and eventually people will be able to harvest them there. So that's a whole lot of clams, which is pretty cool. Areas that we just opened, partially dug out Handy Point and then we just opened it. So as far as those numbers go, we don't have numbers. We have what we dug out from there and then whatever anyone else wanted to go and harvest. Rendezvous was just opened as is. Those nets were just lifted and people can have at it. So for this year, what we actually purchased. We purchased 2.5 million R1.5 quahogs from ARC. We purchased 1 million 1 millimeter quahogs from Muscongus up in Maine. And that is the seed from the brood stock that we give them. So we pick the adults, we send it up there, they spawn and they give us back the seed. And then Merry Meeting, which is a new player in the game here, 1.5 million R1.5. They actually won the county bid this year. So every year the county goes out to bid, all the towns go together and we say what we want for an order. And then any hatchery, anyone can go in there and they bid. They say, oh yeah, I can fill that order by this date for this price. And that's how it goes. Now, because Merry Meeting was so new, there was a lot of discussion, do we even accept this bid? Because we were worried that they might not be able to produce. Or maybe their stock was going to be crap, which is really scary. And from my perspective, I don't like putting all my eggs in one basket. So regardless of who wins the bid, I do like to kind of go across the board. You know, you have Old Faithful ARC, and then you have these new guys that want to come in that were coming in a lot cheaper, but of course with some hesitation. So we initially bought 1 million from Merry Meeting, and then that was so amazing that we bought another 500,000.
Where are they?
They're out of Maine too. And this guy has worked at a whole bunch of different hatcheries before. It really seems like he knows what he's doing. But this is the largest R1.5s that I've ever seen. And it was just beautiful and healthy, and it came so early, which is rare. It seems like every year we're getting this stock later and later, which means I have to plant later and later and I run out of time, but this was perfection this year. So we were able to plant 79 predator exclusion nets. 3,326,370 was the total. And yes, we counted every single one of them. So because 79, now there are years that we've done about 120 nets before, which is quite a lot. Even with 79, it seemed like we didn't have great tides, and so we did a lot of swimming, literally wetsuits swimming. So in an effort not to over inundate the system with nets, because we only have so much ground that we can plant with, we're planting more nets. So we have 50,000 cohogs under nets at Handy Point, Joe's Grant, and Sand Point. Then we have 15 to 20,000 under nets at Scudder Lane. And then we have 2 nets at Hyannis as a pilot project that we planted 15,000 under each net. And that's going towards our project. We're working on environmental justice, getting more people out in Hyannis. We want to see if we can grow more in Hyannis. And so we're going to see if we can grow and move that around to get more interest over there. So that's just a pilot project. Let's see how it goes. We're also maintaining 235 predator exclusion nets out there, which we clean monthly. So the Flupsy. Our largest problem, and I did mean to bring some shells. If anyone wants to see some weird shells, stop by the office. The largest problem with our Flupsy, we thought initially was predators. We were seeing these, let's say 10 millimeter cohogs. So think 10 to 15, so skittle size, and varies from there, 5 to 15. It looked like something had punched a hole straight through the hinge, and it left a perfect hole on each side. And so we're thinking, oh, what animal might do this? And we're seeing all these little shrimp in there, and we're like, well, what if we throw some mummy chugs in there to eat the shrimp? That did work. But when I brought this up to the cooperative extension and Josh Reitzma, he goes, actually, my first thought was that you have a calcium deficiency. So they've been doing a project next to us with Woods Hole and some researchers, and they've been looking at cohogs and oysters literally 20 feet off the Flupsy dock. And they're seeing crazy dips in calcium, and it's intermittent. So that means that they're having a hard time building their shell. And so he actually thinks that just any movement between the animals in the silos, it's actually because of where it is in the shell, they're hitting each other. And so you're cracking the parts of the shell. So how to deal with that? We came up with some crazy solutions, like could I get some, you know how like you feed your fish when you go on vacation? Could I add some calcium tablets somewhere? Those are some of the more outrageous ideas that we've had. We also, we have to lower density. That's one way, so they're not bouncing against each other. Be really aware of maybe how much we're rinsing them, how much movement they're getting from there. So these are things that we're going to continue to monitor and work through. Yeah.
Was it all seed or any particular hatchery seed that you were noticing?
All seed. Good question. And there are years where we've had like inside out cohogs too, which have like that purple hue to it. And so I have kind of thought maybe the environment's a little acidic at times. But yeah, it was kind of across the board. We lost electricity to Flupsy too. We had a complete electrical overhaul this year down there. Turns out we could have been electrocuted several times. So they hardwired all of the motors into the docks. It's completely safe now. But if we do lose electricity, we have to actually call the electrician. It's not like I can switch out a pump. Fortunately, we have 3 Flupsies on that side of town. So worst comes to worst, they can go a couple days because they're in water, or we just make everything dense, we move them between the other flupsies and we carry on. And so we finagled it and we made it work, a little more dense than we would like to run it. But we should be up and ready to go for next year. The natural mortality that we usually see in the 1 millimeter, we didn't see a ton of that. So the Muscungus 1 millimeter did extremely well. We had an intern last year, and now he's a seasonal with us. He has a very mechanical brain, and he fixed some of our silos so that we weren't losing any of the babies off the screen. And he made it so that they can all sit on the screen nicely, and that greatly improved our growth and just them staying live. We had in a scallop order for 2 millimeter scallops. We're gonna get 200,000 2 millimeter scallops. And I called and he said, sold out, I don't have it. So I already have an order in for next year. Jumped right on that to make sure that we could try again next year. We're talking about propagation locations because we want this to be working in Hyannis. That's where the scallops like to live. I'd like to repopulate Calamus and off of that whole area. So we have to go back to the drawing board. We're gonna figure it out. Everyone wants scallops, right? Hard to find. Okay. Excellent.
Excuse me, Liz,
Yeah,
do you know that there's actually a lot of baby scallops in Barnstable Harbor?
tons. And so I had on Saturday, I did have someone come up with a half peck of legal size ones, which was cool. That's the most that I've seen is a half peck. The oddest thing that I saw, and this is some insider information, so it stays with us, right? When we pulled the nets at Rendezvous, I have never seen so many scallops in my life, in my time. I've been with the town for 13 and a half years
All the
now.
little babies.
No, legal that were hiding under our quahog nets. So we have a little experiment over there. I got some scallops, they're probably the size of quarters, and they're under nets that are floating. So we have some buoys in there, and we're gonna see if that can actually live. So we did open up a couple, because I wanted to see okay, if they're living under nets, maybe they're not moving around enough, a lot, and then that meat's gonna be the size of a pencil eraser. But no, it was sizable meats too. So it's not that Barnstable Harbor can't support a legal size scallop, because often I see the seed and I never see them make it to the second year, or they're really deformed. There's something else going on in the system there. So we do have a little experiment going on. I just didn't want to make it really super public, so that, we get people trampling on those nets.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, it looks like there
Yeah,
was a
just
good
didn't know,
set.
it might be a good place to
Totally.
experiment like you said you're
Totally.
doing, because they're everywhere.
Yeah, I know.
The most I've ever seen. I've
It's-
seen them all a few times.
It's really
but-
exciting, and that was the most that I've ever seen under a net of all places too. They must have been protected.
Liz,
Go ahead.
I'm just gonna say, you do know this is being broadcast.
I do, I'm kidding with you.
Oh, okay.
That's my sense of humor, thank you.
So to note, the only reason I'm saying this is because I didn't catch one this year. Last year I did catch a scallop set. I have several tubes that are in the channel, probably caught 10,000 of them. And I did get them to survive over the winter, and
Sweet.
I ate them last week. The
Awesome,
most expensive scallops I've ever bought because of how much time I had to spend.
I know.
But I did notice there are a lot of things that they have to fight against. These ones had a barnacle set on them. They were extremely heavy. A lot of them did end up almost like bullnose. I don't know, but they
get
curl.
stunted.
They curl a lot of them.
Yes, they do.
And then, but the biggest question was winter. Threw them in a cage, kept them in wet, away from the cold, and they survived. The only issue is when they start swimming, they just kept swimming into each other. So, and
Right.
then they kill each other.
Right,
So, but I had heard from other towns, cause at the time I'm struck it, I'm rich, you know, and then, so I had experimented with trying to catch spat, sets and all this with like different mesh bags in there with a couple of them, didn't catch a thing. But then I noticed the set, like probably a month ago or whatever, and not as heavy as the year before, but I'm like, these things are starting to come around
It's nice to see. And we caught a set last year in our SEPA bags. And so we actually did save a whole bunch and we put them in trays and we sunk them out deep. But our density was too much and they just knifed each other.
And that's,
And so that's the biggest thing with growing bay scallops is each individual needs so much space.
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of time doing research so that when we do these lantern nets, it's the appropriate density.
And have you guys noticed anything washing up on Scudder or anything recently?
No. So oysters. We purchased 850,000 4 to 5 millimeter oysters that were put either in the Flupsy at Millway or in suitcase bags at Scudder, depending on the size they were received at. So some of them ended up being larger than the 5 millimeter, so we could put them directly into bags. They did surprisingly well at that Flupsy over there, which historically there's not a lot of food where we're located over there, but they did very well. Those are all in bags, and we will overwinter them at Scudder. We did 690 bags. Yeah.
Liz, how many people do you have working for you?
We have 4.
Four
Four under
full-time
me.
people?
No, we have 2 full-time people other than me and 2 seasonals.
Wow, that's a lot of work.
A lot of work?
That's a lot of work, yeah, just looking at all the numbers here.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
We like to stay busy. Yeah, and really, like, I think you'll see the crew, especially if you get to talk to them, everyone loves their jobs. So it's like they're enjoying coming to work and we like these numbers.
Yeah,
We
that's always
want,
good.
it also makes it so much easier if you can direct someone where to go.
Yeah,
And you can provide them with something, like instead of like, oh no, I have a class, where am I gonna get these oysters from? Where am I gonna get these cohogs from? It's like, oh, we got plenty right here,
yeah.
you know? But yeah, that is significantly more than a lot of other towns are doing.
Yeah.
And so that's just for the north side.
Like the 4 million cohogs trying to do 200,000 bay scallops at some point, and the million oysters, that's overwhelming.
Thank you for recognizing.
I just had a quick question about
Sure.
the, how many Flupsies, you said there's 3 on the south side?
Yeah.
And just 1 on the north side or 2?
Yeah, 1 on the north side.
And so how many, I guess of the seed is going in the Flupsies, I'd like to know more just about how you guys, how you are doing the densities and the Flupsies and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so what ends up happening is, depending on what size we're getting things at, it's really nice when we order, like especially the cohogs, they come at different sizes or they come at different times. So that we can sort as they grow, right, the larger ones, get them out. As soon as we can, get them out. And so that's kind of how it's rolling. As soon as something comes to size, that's why I'm swimming. It might be a bad tide.
How do you cull out of the Flupsy?
It used to be by hand.
Yeah.
So it used to be I would stand at a sink.
Yeah,
And I would
with 4
shake.
million, that's not.
Exactly. So we did buy a sorter this year.
Nice. Is it the
And
vibrating?
it is the vibrating. So we bought the same one that the county has.
Yeah, that's a nice
Yep.
piece of equipment.
And we've been working. It didn't work exactly how we wanted it to this year. So they're actually going to come down this winter. They're going to make sure it's
I was
square.
gonna say,
Exactly.
that should be high on the list.
Exactly. Yeah.
I just, about the density, so how much?
Sure.
If you get say 2.5 million cohogs come from ARC, you get that at once.
Yeah. That usually so each hatchery is coming all at once.
And then so where would you put that seed? How do you allocate that? You get the 2, how much goes in the
So
how many
that's
Flupsies?
probably 2.5 million seed. we're gonna put it in 6 to 8 silos to start.
That's a little dense though.
Okay.
Yeah, like, I mean, just like based on what the,
Also, some species at that size
yeah,
tend to do a little better with that thicker density until a certain point. It's,
yeah, no, but I know
Especially the smaller ones.
we have a problem with the holes going in them, with the calcium. And you thinking maybe that could be also from, you know, we said one of the problems to alleviate that would be to put them in there less densely so they're not bouncing into
Right.
each other.
So then we have options there.
So you have to
I
you can't spread them out evenly, so you gotta put less in to follow that idea in Prince Cove, and now you have even more in the other ones. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, if you can't just
South has to say south, north has to say north.
so you put 2.5 million in just 6 silos,
When they're 1 to 3 millimeters.
but how, well, 3 millimeters is, 1 to 3 is pretty big range.
That's the range that it comes
3
in.
millimeters, I'm pretty sure it's like 80,000 per silo is what they recommend for the Hooper's Island.
Depends on your silo.
This is for the Hooper's Island one?
Okay.
Isn't that the one that you got?
Yeah, we do have one at Hooper's Island, and then we have 2 that were custom made that go in the dock.
I got you.
Yeah, so it depends which one. The Hooper's Island does seem like it can't take as much as the other 2 silos.
Yeah,
The other 2 Flipsies, excuse me.
they're rated for 80,000 a piece, silo a piece at like 2 millimeter.
So our options here are, I can't get more Flipsies. That's not,
No,
That's
but
not-
you could,
or I
Well, you
purchase
buy-
less Cohogs.
yeah, you could.
I could.
It might make it a little bit, you might actually doing a little bit less might be a little bit more. You know, you have more survivability, they'll grow faster. You won't have as much loss, and I know like you would think, well, like maybe if we could get more, like it's a common theme to buy extra but I think that, you know, with the Flupsy, they're so efficient that you just space them out a little bit more, you won't lose as many in the Flupsy.
I think it's really economies of scale when you look at it.
Well,
I think there's natural mortality as well that we're dealing with,
Mhm.
and the percentage that we're dying from that, I don't think is as great as the natural mortality. So we could grow less. I really believe, with my experience,
Mhm.
if we grew less, we would get roughly the same amount that survives.
Yeah, so that would be great though, wouldn't it? Because then you could use that money to maybe buy some field plants or something like that you don't have to do anything for.
I mean, we still have to put them under nets.
No, you
So-
could get stuff that you didn't have to put under nets if you wanted to. You know, if you had extra money, if you could buy a little bit less and then do the same with less numbers and make that system, you know, you wouldn't, like a little bit less of a headache really, because
Yeah.
it's not so stressful with how much, it's like you're maxing it out, right? And then like you could, like you said, you'd probably get about the same amount with a little bit less, but then that could be used for more scallops
Right.
or something like that. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, and I hear what you're saying, and I guess my biggest concern is this is when everything works out. This is actually a good year for growth.
Yeah.
So imagine if one hatchery fails
Mhm.
and I don't even get 1 million,
Yeah.
right? I would rather over order and be over inundated and the risk because we might not get something.
Yeah, but you don't have to put them all, what I'm saying is they don't have to go on the flips. Like you could still order, like, cause if you got field
It's
plants.
very expensive to get field plant.
No, but it's also extremely more successful, like if they're already thumbnail size or bigger.
We're talking $6 per thousand for the 1 millimeter stuff as opposed to,
$60,000+ a thousand?
you know,
Yeah.
like it's a lot, we're talking numbers, and I've been crunching.
Mhm.
And like, so let's talk about this. You have my phone number.
Yeah, okay,
Let's talk about this
Yeah.
sometime.
All right.
There's definitely ways that we can go about and look at
Yeah,
this,
yeah, yeah.
you know?
sure.
So, all right, back to oysters. What has been really successful is the remote set. So we've been slowly increasing that number throughout the years. We're up to 690 bags. They always short me 10 bags every year. 600 bags went to Scudder Lane. Those are currently still in trays. They'll be planted next spring. 90 bags were put in East Bay as a pilot project. For those of you that were around last year, we did this last year as well with just 50 bags. And it was pretty successful. They grew in trays. We have to put a predator exclusion net over them, which is odd. But that's because that's the biggest factor over there is predation for the oysters. What's that?
What's eating them?
A lot of blue crabs, a lot of crabs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so we've put them, we've put the, last year's crop is on bottom. We're gonna go take a look at that before East Bay opens up, so we can see how they're doing, if they survived. And then we have this new crop, so 2 years, and then we're gonna reevaluate if this is something we wanna continue doing. We also purchased 1.5-inch oysters to supplement the Scudder Lane harvest. I think that was only about 30,000 of those. And then,
Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
But so those oysters were bought from the farmers, right?
from Barnstable Harbor Growers,
So-
yeah.
Cool. So I think last year and probably the year before I brought this up as well. And I know this year was a great year as far as seed goes and it sounds like it went well. And I do the same thing where I order more than I think I need because I expect 40-50% to die and you have your good years, you have your bad years.
Yeah.
But to help mitigate risk, which all the any serious farmer is like constantly trying to mitigate risk and be as efficient as possible and get as many clams. For us, it's to market. For you, it's just into peck baskets, right? So, would it make sense to kind of take part of the seed budget and say we're gonna order as much as we can. We got the Flupsies, like we're gonna do the 1 and the 1.5 millimeters. Those are cheap. Hopefully we knock it out of the park with those and save as much money as you can to buy field plant and 1.5-inch oysters from the farmers, because then you always have the farmers to fall back on.
Yeah.
And it's not like you're just buying from me, just buying from DJ, just buying from Paul. You're buying, or both Pauls. You have the opportunity to buy from everybody in the harbor. They can all pitch in, or one person pitches in, whatever. But I brought it up in the past, and we've talked about it, and I'm glad to see that you did buy from the farmers. I think that's great. I think it's great if we can support each other. But I think it needs to be done in a more predictable way because we plan 18 months out. So the seed I ordered last week, I'm planning on selling that 24 months from now. So
Yeah.
so basically,
And I'm working the same way, is that you're looking at
it's
two crops
yes,
at once.
two
You
years
guys,
of growth.
you're knowing what you're gonna have ready next year, that's
Correct.
1.5 inches.
Correct. So I'm thinking this is so many clams. That's so much work. So like to kind of like ease your load, which is substantial, and mitigate. The Flupsy turned off. Hopefully nothing happened. That's fine. But in years past, Prince Cove is always a problem maker. There have just been issues in the past. I'm glad to see nothing catastrophic happen this year, but in order to mitigate those catastrophes, I think the department should put aside a budget and a price that's fixed so that I can go home tonight and say, hey, I actually want to order another 200,000 because I know that the town allots this much, and I can throw whatever into some 4 millimeter bags, put them into a little section of the farm, throw them for you guys. And I'm not gonna be, I have machinery, everybody here has machinery, we're getting better at this every year, so I don't need to charge you, through the roof for my 1.5s. Like I think we should work on finding a price, a fixed price. Doesn't go out to bid. I don't really love the bidding structure as far as the way we've done it, and I'm speaking for myself. I don't know how everybody else feels, but if it's a fixed price, I can plan I can, you know, I can plan ahead. And that this whole deal of farming is all planning ahead. So
100%.
I would love to see you guys keep growing as many clams as you possibly can, but I'd like to see some of that risk mitigated and some of that budget go towards the farmers we have in Barnstable, because the farmers in Barnstable are
The best of the best, in my opinion.
you know,
And
we're
I
one of the
try
top
to-
3 towns in the whole.
Right, and I try to purchase as much as I can from local growers.
Yes.
What we're having here is, budget is the issue. I only have so much money to work with. And so what ends up happening is, once I purchase all the seed, right? So all the seed that I'm planning on, then I say, okay, how much do I have left that I can work with? And sometimes I have to go over the budget. Okay, so, and we pull from another account. But how much do I have left to work with
Yes.
so that I can purchase 1.5 inch stock? So this is the time of year where I'm starting to figure that out, because we're starting to get these orders in.
Yes. So
Previous years,
yeah,
when I've gone out to growers to ask them,
I know.
I need to buy, right? And I did this several years in a row.
because there's no planning.
I know,
You know,
but
it needs to be.
we did this several years in a row. Tom Mercati did it before me. And we
Yeah.
would always purchase from growers. And then one year, I got nothing.
Yeah.
And we got completely wiped. And that's when I said, I'm not gonna buy from you guys, but I can't rely on it.
Yeah.
I try to be as self-sufficient as I can to make sure there's a product that goes out the door, and any extra money that I have, I throw your way. So that's how I'm currently operating.
So I guess my
And to follow up on the budget, we have a fixed budget and it's.
I understand, and whatever the budget, whatever the numbers are, however it works. But my
What I'm trying
point
to say
is,
is that, so we have a fixed budget that is, it's tax-based, it's general fund based, in other words, it's tax money that is a specific amount. And what we're having happen lately is that, as we all know, this cost of seed has gone up. So we've been dipping into other budgets to deal with it, but we're really squeezed, and that's something
We're
that-
talking 15% to 90% change.
I know,
I mean, we all know that, so
I'm
so I
getting
hear what
the same
you're
way.
saying, and I understand the looking out ahead
yes,
problem, and I think we're all kind of struggling with that, it sounds like. And from the director's seat, I am looking at that budget and seeing what I can do with that because of this change in costs. So there's something that I'm evaluating separately.
Yeah.
But I hear what you're saying, and I think we can have an internal conversation about it.
as far as like the end result goes, and like you might pay more upfront, but the end result will always be much greater when you're buying bigger product.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
We
if
used
could
to-
do that, we would buy it,
That's the.
try to get it.
Right, and we used to, so before I took over as a biologist, we would just buy 200,000 1.5 inch stock.
Mhm.
And then we would do remote set.
Mhm.
And that was it.
Mhm.
And so now, to support the fishery that we have and the amount of people that we have, I can't get away with that anymore. I have to grow more. So what we've been doing to save on the labor part of it,
It's not you.
Sorry.
to save on the labor part of it, we've been increasing remote set, because that's really only, it only needs a certain times, you know? We gotta make the
I got
bags, we gotta
Is
put
the
it
seed budget and the labor budget at the same time?
separate.
Well, I don't, maybe we need to figure out a way to increase the budget or something,
Wait, let me,
I agree.
can I say something?
but.
Go for it.
Okay, just as something to just on his behalf, I guess, I think what he's, most important thing he was saying about it not working before is buying from the farmers. I know, I saw, like, you guys weren't getting orders and stuff. Is that if you could ever try that again, to try to do it, like you said, like even more in advance.
The year before,
Yeah,
so you
and
guys
then
can
that
plan
way, and like,
appropriately.
you know, like sign a contract if you want, if that means like this price is sky high, he still has to sell you for this price. You know what I mean? But they wanna do it, some bars wanna do it, you know what I'm saying, so.
And that sounds really great,
So
that's
like
what I
then, and then you, like, doesn't matter if that's the last ones Tyler's got, you're locked in, and that was the deal you made with Liz, you know what I mean? I think that's what, I think it'll be better,
Yeah.
because then you can buy the extra clams. And then as far as like the budget goes, like, not to go back to the flopsies, but you could, like, you know, you could put a little less in there, and then also I noticed that we're increasing the oyster limit. So we could, like, since you're growing more oysters, couldn't you just grow a little less oysters? Or like, I just seemed like, you know, I'm not trying to say grow less oysters, but we're increasing the recreational limit to a pack, which I already see excess oysters dumped at every single town landing throughout the winter from people not consuming them entirely, and extra clams, oysters sitting in the fridge for 3 weeks, walk down Scudder Lane, walk down the Dan McCarthy Boulevard or wherever and just throw extra oysters in the water, which is not good, and with any of us commercial guys or professionals will lose our license over that, so, but, you know, whatever. So we're increasing the, you know, the oyster harvest, I just think like we could maybe not increase the oyster harvest as much and then do some other things like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think one of the major drawing points to a shellfish license is the oyster season. And so that's really like what people are coming out for, and I am gonna get to that.
Yeah.
So, to your point, especially the years that we don't do the contaminated relay, is the years that I have money for you guys.
Yeah.
So for instance, I can tell you right now, next year, after July 1st, I will have some money and
But it's for that year, so it's like,
well, like I can get it in the fall, you know? So like, I do need to, it would have to be some sort of bid. It would have to be something so I can say to all growers, this is what's happening. You gotta remember, like, this is government entity. I have to play by certain rules.
I understand that, but
Yeah.
I think it would be easier for growers to plan around if you didn't do it to bid. You're like, hey, this is what we're paying for this size oyster.
Unfortunately, I think because of the way the municipality works, like the reason, you know, you took the Mary product is because they don't know what each other are bidding, like, for a charge, and then, you know, only they get to see it, then they make a decision. It's the same with like the fire station and why Vegas doing it instead of
I think there's a
RVO.
limit though, isn't it, you only have to do a bid if it's up to a certain amount,
I think
right? Like, was it
anyone-
50,000 or something like?
So over $10,000.
Whatever it is, if it becomes like more ingrained in your program that you are using the farmers more and we can all plan around that, I think looking into the future, next year when we're looking at this propagation report, and it's like, oh my gosh, you know, whatever happened and there was a disaster, which there has been in the past. There's always something that's like, oh geez.
With any farmer,
It happens. It's happened to me.
Yeah.
And it happens to everybody. So I think you can just like spread out your risks so the risk is like so little, and like maybe oysters are incredibly labor intensive. Stuff you grow yourself and all that on the farm is more.
And what I want you to remember too is, I'm not going for pretty. I don't have to go to market. I'm not tumbling these. I'm thinning them out in the tray so they can grow. I want them to be 3 inches.
Yeah.
So my labor with oysters is greatly different than your labor with oysters as
If
well.
I'm growing them for the town, I'm not gonna put much labor into them. But the result is they're cheaper and it's
Right.
like,
And so that's
take
something
them.
that we can definitely consider in the future. We can try to work the budget. I do need to hit certain numbers.
Okay.
And that's the biggest concern. But
I gotcha.
absolutely, let's sit down and let's see how we can do some kind of system, even if it's like $20,000 set aside. How can we divvy this up appropriately and make it work, okay? There are some years that's gonna work, some years that's not, but let's try to think ahead and work through that, okay? Cool.
And that's about what we did spend on local growers for fiscal fiscal year 25. Again, I have to look at it fiscal year, so it's super confusing, but that's
Yeah.
about where we're at. And I do think this is probably an offline conversation, but I
Yes.
think it's good that you're offering that.
To get back to the oysters, we still actually have half to a third of our crop that we have to put on the ground. So what we're hearing from a lot of people is they can't find them. We did plant them out deeper this year so that they can't harvest them at a higher tide. It's hard to sit at the landing for 6 hours with people showing up and they're up to their necks. I actually don't want them to be able to reach it at that point. They are a little deeper, they are there. The remote set from last year that's been planted on the bottom is looking glorious, and that's what's gonna get us through the holidays. And then additionally, when we keep supplementing with what is still in trays right now. So as far as the south side goes, we put 150,000 R2 oysters in the Flupsy, which they grow super fast. The oysters don't seem to have a problem at Prince Cove, and they only last in there maybe 3 weeks. And then they were put at Katuah Town Dock. We had some testing done because we've been noticing mortality, and we have a severe case of dermo. Now it comes up, so that's parasite. It stunts the oyster's growth and it causes mortality in the oysters. It is not harmful for people to eat those oysters, just to clarify that. We had it at Bridge Street as well, which is why we left our growing area at Bay Street, moved to Bridge Street, moved to Katuah Town Dock. It is everywhere. So we are going to continue running from it, but across the board. So even stuff that newly came out of the Flupsy, not looking so hot. Stuff that we had bought from Katuah Oyster Company last year, that was a little larger that we were growing over in Katuah, not looking so hot. So what we did was we supplemented with 1 inch plus stock, 100,000 pieces on the south side. And now we're growing in DuPont's Cove, which is in West Bay. It's, a lot of people don't know where that is. It's behind where our Grand Island propagation area is. It's in that little cove behind, okay? So we're gonna try growing there. That water quality's always been great. Hopefully there's some good food there. We're gonna see if this consistently becomes a problem, we have to reevaluate growing oysters on the south side. I cannot risk lighting all the other farmers on fire with dermo, and I won't put everything at risk. So this is a last ditch effort to see if we can still grow oysters on the south side.
What if you moved it to Hyannis or something? You know?
I would love to try Hyannis. That is a very, there's a ton of user groups there that are fighting for, tons of shareholders that are fighting for spots. It is a very difficult area to propagate anything over there.
What about
Politically.
like just like, yeah, I guess, like, if you didn't, yeah, whatever, we don't have to talk about that.
Yeah, we can talk about it some other time for sure. So other news, just keep on moving through this. Will not be going out to bid for uglies this year because of that budget, because we had to spend so much to replace the dermo stock so we don't lose a year of growing there. We did 4 Learn to Shellfish classes. We gained tons of new volunteers from that. 4 razor clam classes, which definitely led to an uptick in landings this year from the recreational fishery. We had over 600 pecks harvested this year for razor clams, which is awesome for the rec fishery. 2 clamming classes for kids, several presentations throughout the year. This is the first winter of having 2 shellfish technicians, and really trying to get into the classrooms more, specifically, looking at environmental justice, trying to get more kids out to the ocean. A lot of the underserved community. So not only are we trying to grow more shellfish in areas that need it and to get people out more, we also have the technicians going out to classrooms. So they're doing programs in the classroom, and then they're getting a bus and they're bringing the kids to the ocean, which is awesome. Some of these kids, it's amazing, they live on Cape Cod and they don't go to the beach. And so, we're talking about aquaculture and all the stuff that they talked about in classes, like adaptations and all that. And then you might just find a crab and we're talking about a crab at the ocean, you know? So it's really been some great things. And these kids, we're trying to find ways that, you know, let's get them shellfish permits. Some kids, we taught them how to dig quahogs. This is great, you know? And then you're like, yeah, you can get your own food in the oceans. It's awesome. So the technicians have been working so hard, and there's a teacher that is so psyched about it. She's inviting us back. And so we're gonna start expanding that program, which is really neat. A nod to our volunteers, they donated 309 hours this year. That's a lot. Thank you for your free labor. We're gonna throw you a little party, it's not much. And just something that, you know, I don't necessarily keep track of NOIs this way, but I went back through all my emails where I got notified about an NOI that I had to go look at. I had 18 this year in 2025, and so we did those shellfish surveys as well. Oysters harvested opening week, so just Wednesday and Saturday of last week, so not even Sunday, 318 pecks. And what's insane is when I added Sunday, 546 packs of oysters were harvested in the first week of opening oysters by 744 people. So it's not only that we have more oysters being harvested, more people are coming to the ocean to get their food, which is awesome. Plans for upcoming year. 800 remote setbacks, because that's minimal labor and they do really well. We're bringing that up. We're bringing quahogs down. Because of your point, Jake, I thought of it too. So we went from 5 million to 4 million quahogs.
Okay.
Yep.
I thought this was, I'm sorry, I thought
No,
this
this is what's
entire
coming
time
up.
okay.
This is what I'm gonna order.
I thought this entire time we were talking about the future.
No, this is what we've done this year. All right, so we're going from 5 million to 4 million quahogs in the Flopsy so that we can make sure that those are doing well. 1 million oyster seed for the Flopsy, so we're maintaining that. Most of this, where we're purchasing from, is going to be determined by the county bid. What I didn't add is I do have another, I'm doing 100,000 bay scallops. We're probably gonna do 4 millimeter, so larger than the 2 millimeter. That order is in. We're gonna focus more on oysters this year so we can get to the bottom of what's happening with Dermo. And we can spend more time because the oysters, we wanna make sure we're thinning them, getting them all to proper size. So we're just gonna spend a year reevaluating that with a little less quahogs. Do I have any questions?
I have a question. We want to hear a little bit from the recreational folks. I do want to give you some kudos for all your hard work, and I hope I don't embarrass you. Liz does an amazing job. I know there's a lot of faces here. We hear a lot from commercial and aquaculture, but I would like to hear from the recreational folks. I go to the landing every opening day, and it just seems like a love fest. So I'm hoping that you guys went this year. No?
You're kidding, it's too crowded.
Too crowded. Never going to opening day.
Too many
I
people.
got the T-shirt that says I survived, but I
Yeah,
didn't.
to opening day. Well, I hope that you go. I mean, that was a phenomenal amount that was harvested in 1 week. The staff has really been busting their hump. I recently got an email from Brunswick, Maine, saying that giving Liz kudos because that's a community that has started their own propagation program and they're mirroring it on Barnstable. So we are really cutting edge. Our own Liz Lewis is known for her propagation program and speaks at a number of conferences and does a number of trainings. So she is highly desirable on this topic. She spoke at Roger Williams University, the Cooperative Extension. She teaches the AmeriCorps students. And she is presenting at our NACE conference this year.
Yeah, up in Portland, if anyone's going.
Not Northeast Aquaculture Conference and Expo. So you have an A+ team here, and I hope you get to know them. They're all really, really great and really dedicated.
And Liz, this is a great job you did just putting this together.
Thank you.
For us, instead of just words, we have things to work with.
I know.
Nice.
Thank you. It's wild when you really review, because you know you're just going all summer, and then when you sit down, you're like, whoa, Yeah, that's a lot of shellfish.
Yes.
But I just wanted to just say to Nina that the whole entire group, your entire staff is excellent. When I go out and I talk to the recreational folks just to see what's on their mind, it's all positive. Even the some resource officers help them out, say, no, you shouldn't be here, you should be a little further down. People are friendly, talking, helping each other, and it's all because of you guys. You have a fantastic program.
Yeah.
Don't change it.
Thank you so much, I really appreciate that, and I wanna echo what Liz is saying about this outreach to our younger folks now and getting, and I'm doing it as well with the more natural resource, we're trying to reach into the classes, all classes, but particularly some of these areas where these kids aren't getting the exposure. And it's wildly fun, frankly, to get young folks to the ocean.
I love that you took them down to the shore and that just makes it so real to them.
It really does, and you don't know who you're inspiring and where they're gonna take it from there.
That's great. Yeah.
Liz, the Flopsies where you were having the problem with the little holes in the oysters, has the pH of the water changed at all over time?
That's the data that I'm going to get from the
Yeah, 'cause that
county.
might be worth looking into.
Exactly, yeah,
Because everything is becoming acidified and
I
that
know.
don't help.
I know. And the thing about Prince Cove is there is such excellent food there. But if the water chemistry isn't good for the shell, you
Yeah.
know, that's something that we have to balance. Yeah.
I have a question that's a little bit off topic, but you mentioned Centerville River and the crabs. And just this week, I was walking the back part of Dows's behind the jetty, and I was blown away by the molt of this crab shells. What kind of crabs are those? They're very narrow with a very pointed nose.
Very narrow. There's a lot of spider crabs.
is it?
No, those I know,
Is it-
but
it's not blue
they're
crabs?
about,
Should
they're
be
about
blue
this
crab.
big, and it's the top part, you can see with the eyes where a very pointed nose.
Spider crab.
Spider crab.
And they're like,
Very
Yeah.
large.
it's like
Yeah.
thousands and thousands.
Yeah.
They molt right this time of year in the right around.
Do they attack the clams?
No.
No.
I know they'll destroy some scallops.
They eat oysters too,
So I've scuba dived in the Centerville,
very slow.
in the Katuitt Cut for scallops, and when they're molting, when they molt, they go into a gigantic horde. And like you drop down, and it's the entire bottom is spider crabs with spider crabs on top of spider crabs.
It's a little gross.
So it's probably happening, right in that channel right
Yeah.
there, similar to,
It was mind-boggling when I first I was like, what is that? And I was like, oh my God, that's a molted crab.
I know.
Like thousands of them.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Liz, your number actually should be 319.5. You missed one.
Did you sneak out?
No, I didn't. I was there early in the morning. You hadn't gotten there yet.
Nice. Excellent.
Thank you, Liz, and yeah, keep it up.
Cool, thank you.
Moving on, under new business, we talked, a couple months ago, or I don't remember, but about making one set time for next year, for the meetings. I'll just go over the points. Meeting scheduled for the second Wednesday of every month. The meetings would be scheduled at 6, between 6 and 8. November 11th is Veterans Day, so no meeting or change date. Before we get to that, we voted on the 6 o'clock time change, right? Yeah. So we're obviously good with that. So what do you think about November 11th? Is that?
DJ, I just wanted, Amy wanted to note that in November, this room is unavailable on the first and the third Wednesday. So the two choices would be either if we cancel November because of the holiday, or it would be meeting on Amy's birthday, so she just wanted to note to keep that in mind when
The day before Thanksgiving as well.
Yeah.
And is the building open on
So-
11, on Veterans Day?
I know that the building is open,
It is,
but it's used
Yes.
for Veterans Day.
Yeah.
There's a ceremony here and the food was kept here.
well, I mean, November is when we get this report, so, I mean, is it, I mean, obviously you
have to
guys
be a
are
Wednesday.
fine. I mean, it's up to what you guys wanna do, I mean, I'm fine with doing it,
Yeah, I'm flexible.
okay.
You just wouldn't be able to vote on it because it's hard to book this room, it's extremely busy.
Do you think, is that something? Okay,
Could we have it at the community center, I forget what it's called, I know they
yeah,
changed the
yeah,
name.
the senior center?
Yeah.
The
Senior center.
They
We're
wanna
good
have
with
the
that.
cameras.
Okay. So I mean, as far as changing days or.
What's the problem? I don't know.
So the Veterans Day is gonna be on the November meeting date.
The 25th?
No,
The
the
11th is the
11th.
second Wednesday.
The 25th.
So
is
they're
that-
they're saying, oh, do we change it?
And the first and the
That's the question.
third are taken, so
Well-
leaving the 25th.
And that's the day before Thanksgiving that year.
What about, well, isn't there a Tuesday or Wednesday between that?
Yeah, but it's taken.
Oh,
Fourth,
okay,
fourth
okay.
is taken, 11th is holiday, 18th is taken,
What do we do, the
25th.
first Wednesday?
Second.
What, can we do the first Wednesday?
That's taken as well.
Oh, okay.
So do we just do the report?
What about a different
December
day?
and-
What about what about a close day to the 11th or whatever?
I'm fine.
Like the
If we get the vote,
Wednesday
that's
or
the only
the
question.
I
Tuesday?
mean, we'd be happy to do the report in December.
Yeah, cause I think then it's a conflict of who's having meetings in here other days.
I like to
So-
make sure like everything should be in the ground by November 1st, so that's when I have good information, so December would be fine.
Yeah, be after,
Yeah.
and then, I mean, the only thing that could come up is like a potential NOI or something like that.
So no meeting in November.
So, I mean, I think that's probably the best bet,
Alright.
we're not left with too many options, so. Alright, someone wanna make a motion?
Make a motion to approve all these times as stated, except for the November meeting, which we will forego.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Delayed on
Yeah.
it.
Alright, next, we have a transfer, for license site NG 017 from Scott Laurie, to Kimberly Hamlin. Paul is here, I'm sure representing. Do you guys have any comment? I mean, I know Paul
Yeah,
well, and
and it has always
part of the
followed the
industry.
regulations, been doing it for a while. And this is, I think, from when I talked to Amy about this, you know, this is what we've wanted to see and one of the reasons why those regulations were changed to allow for more acreage. So things like this could happen. When family members retire, get out of the business, they can pass it down. So do you wanna tell everyone what your plans are?
It's the same thing I've been doing for most of my life. Scott Laurie, who's my stepfather, they're retiring and him and my mother are retiring and moving to Florida, so he'll no longer have a Barnstable address. And so now this is gonna go into my wife's name so we can keep the grant going. So I've been working it for a while anyways. It's just a formality at this point.
Paul's out there quite often, and, you know, this is his livelihood, and.
Yeah.
So, any discussion, or any comments? And I forget.
I move that we
How's that special?
approve the transfer of sites NG 017 as presented.
Got a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. There you go.
And so that is going to go to hearing.
Yep.
So, that was a recommendation from you guys.
Yes.
Excellent.
And then next we have an
An NOI.
yes, 180 Carriage Road, Osterville.
No, in the Centerville River.
No, it's on in West Bay, right?
Yeah.
Should be on Great Island, like the third dock in from that creek.
So, I don't have.
And there is Shellfish.
It's in here.
If they wanna go along it, the boats that are on that side
There you
of
go,
the thing
there's your
are-
locus.
I believe they
West
have to
Bay.
bring a machine.
Can you go up a little bit and see the picture if you don't mind?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Alright, so this is very different from the one that we were talking about last month. So this actually, we did touch base with John O'Day, he couldn't be here because he had a zoning meeting.
Can you possibly make that bigger? It's only like 37% or something.
Yes, let's make it bigger. Is that better for you?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Alright, so what we're looking at here is, they would like to redo their revetment and extend it. Proposed bulkhead replacement extension. It is way above mean high water. So that's the really important part to note about this. It's going to be pulled more landward into the bank rather than going farther towards the ocean. Okay, so the last one we saw, they wanted to move 2 feet into the ocean. This one, they're retreating.
You could do that there.
So, they're gonna be doing most of this by land. They do need to bring in a barge for some equipment. And so what Natural Resources has requested is that we are part of the pre-construction meeting, so everything, I wanna physically see where the stakes are, where they will be landing, and that is the only place that they can come and go from. So we can see what detriment that will be. But other than that, it really shouldn't have a major impact on shellfish.
They have failed to see possibly. Anyone have any comments about this one?
No.
I mean, you guys are on top of it, so you'll let us know if anything comes up.
Absolutely.
For old business, Amy asked me to move the discussion for the apprentice program to next month, just cause she wants to be here for it, so if you have any comments on that, just hold them till then. Anything else? Alright,
Chairman, I move that
Oh,
we
one last
adjourn.
thing, I got one last thing. We gotta somehow put the dredging back on the, God, apparently there is no program now or something.
Oh, so I did discuss this with Amy.
I don't know, if we can start dredging, or can we dredge, or
Yeah.
when can where,
So that is something that we'll definitely discuss. We were talking about hopefully getting it on the agenda next month.
yeah, so if we could
The
do
Mills
that.
River is going to remain closed, that is what we discussed. What we really wanna focus on is because we have that 10-year dredge project coming up, we're hoping that we can utilize you guys to help with that.
That should be an absolute must, if that is going on, especially in a few bodies of water.
Exactly, and so that is something that I made very clear during that process.
Great.
And we will be hearing about that again and be on top of it for sure.
Is this gonna be used to clean up the area, the dredging?
They're gonna be taking sediment out to make more channels and
There's
such.
two
It's really,
dredges.
yeah,
There's the dredges that do the cohogs, and then there's a dredge that they have every channel in the town of Barnstable.
Yeah.
That they are going to clean out, and that is the main focus of trying to figure all this out and keeping the dredging around, is because if you completely get rid of the dredging, now when they go to actually physically dredge out those channels, you have no option but to go try to hand rake if you can in those channels to remove them. So that's why we're trying to figure out a way to manage the bodies of water better, like Mills River might have stayed open too long, whatever, it might be perfect, we don't really know that information yet, but we can try to circumnavigate that, but it's definitely important, and I was a naysayer for a long time, but it's definitely important to have the tool available in the shed, especially when the town dredge comes along, because Like, I mean, West Bay, Centerville River, I mean, there's millions of clams that need to be moved from these areas that'll benefit everybody. I mean, and that's part of the propagation thing and the dredging I'd like to talk about is taking bodies of water, seeing what's going on with the 10-year, clean out an area, relay that area, like we need to be,
Incrementally
we
see
need to
what's
be
happening.
working cohesively with, you guys can sprinkle your seed that you have too many of on top of the spot that you cleaned out, you know, it's like I'd like to see that at some point is like this, the snake, if you will, go through the bays and try to make some moves with that type of stuff, but.
But dredging should be limited to areas away from the areas where the commercial guys can walk.
100%, and that's what we did last year, was I actually put out almost 30 buoys to protect certain areas, so there wouldn't be a lot of conflict there.
Why don't next month, we also add to the agenda, you know, this
Yeah.
whole, cause we never got back to this issue.
Yeah, we did.
That was brought up back in.
It kinda just all went away.
You know, before we get into the winter, you know, let's have that discussion.
Yeah.
Try to figure something out. Cause there's benefits, I mean, obviously, we don't wanna shut out the guys that can't dredge, but also if there's benefits to dredging, like, and especially like where Tim's saying, it's like either those clams get thrown out. But why do that if we have the ability to send guys in there and clean them
Deep water
up,
areas,
you know?
yeah,
100%.
deep water areas,
So it's
I'm
like-
all for it,
so,
but in the
yeah.
shallows, no.
Yeah, so let's have that discussion next month and try to get something figured out.
Yeah.
So anyone, you know, just approach that meeting with things to say and we'll get a plan going, so. Anything else?
One real quick one, Green Crab Symposium, I went to it in October. Sounds like they've been, as everybody knows, there was funds appropriated, they pay you 40 cents a pound, this, that, and the other thing. The state's been giving out about $1 million a year for the last like 10 years, believe it or not. It looks like next year, next year is the last of that. Confirming everything that has been said, they did say that they're receiving 25,000 down here. They are building a $4 million green crab plant in Plum Island, I believe that's Newburyport area. There was a biopharma tech, there was a few biopharma people there, very interested in a couple of the components in green crab, there's some very valuable stuff in there if you can get it out of there.
Really?
Yeah, so they are, they're doing that, we had some green crab soup, it was actually pretty good. There's a lady in Pembroke that makes green crab broth, Miss St. Hours, so if you wanna try some green crab broth, you're more than welcome to do that.
Dog treats out of Boston.
Yep, they were there too, yeah, there was a lot of, it was pretty interesting to see, there was a lot of state reps, they definitely are trying to market a business out of it, they are looking very hard for a stream of revenue for those things like you would not believe, so it'll be interesting to see what comes of that.
Yeah, and those things are brutal. I mean, I personally, on my farm, lost a decent amount, which was this year to green crab. You know, one of my tubes split open and then there's 400 of them just like immediately eating them. So it's like, you know, and especially in Barnstable Harbor where predation is huge, you know, whether it's sea ducks eating steamers or horseshoe crabs or spider crabs, whatever. These ones don't belong here, so I mean, if they can make it profitable for fishermen, we're probably the best shot at getting rid of these things. So it's definitely something, hopefully that works out.
They did mention another crab, an Asian shore crab, have you guys seen that?
Yeah, I've seen that.
I
That's the
haven't
one you
seen
flip the rock and they go, it looks like a lightfoot crab.
Yeah, I haven't seen
They're
one of those.
square, there's a lot of them.
And the
Have you seen
bigger claws, a
You've
lot
seen
stronger.
one,
Yeah.
I'll show it to you, yeah, you just flip the rocks, they live under there.
What are they called?
Asian
An
shore
Asian
crabs.
shore crab, it's similar size and everything, but they're definitely different.
They got a club, like,
Yeah, it's like they're more like this instead of like that, I guess.
That's
A
a
square
They're worse.
carapace,
Yeah.
they're like
They're even
dark
worse.
brown with some white speckles. They have 3 teeth next to their eyes, that's how you can tell that it's the Asian shore crab.
Yeah, 5 for the green, right?
Asian shore crab,
you know how there's spider crabs?
GREN, 5. This is back to my aquarium days, folks.
Like there's spider crabs, there's swimming crabs, this is a lightfoot crab. So like they look like, once you see one and you go down to like the Caribbean or something, you're like, oh, that's an Asian short crab, but it's not. It's like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The same anatomy.
Do I have any?
There was a motion, it hasn't been seconded.
I'd like to continue.
Oh, I made the motion.
Oh, you did make the motion.
I'll second the motion.
Okay.
Stein,
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Alright,